to 7 on Breakfast. The government's KiwiBuild initiative isn't the answer to New Zealand's housing crisis, but instead a huge distraction from actual fixes to the problem. That's according to the New Zealand Initiative's latest research report. Here to tell us more is report author Dr. Bryce Wilkinson.
That's good. Hi.
Keeping you on your toes this morning, Bryce. Can you tell us a bit more? What did you find?
Well, on the analysis in the report, we find that the aspect of KiwiBuild, the flagship aspect, which is to build 100,000 homes in 10 years, is basically a waste of time and money. It's not going to achieve worthwhile objectives. There are other aspects of what the government is trying to do which are much more important and more useful, but our report focused on the government house building program.
Why is it a waste of time and money?
Because if it's unsubsidised, as the Minister asserts, then it's not needed. Private developers already exist to meet unsubsidised demand. If it's subsidised, the subsidies are really going to people who don't need it, or it's one headline attributes it as socialism for the rich. And if those people were given the money instead of induced to buy a house that they don't really want, they would buy a house of different quality and different size and possibly in different location.
But is it fair to suggest that KiwiBuild was ever supposed to be the silver bullet?
The original policy announcement was in 2012, and there it was hoped that this would do something about home ownership proportions in New Zealand. And in the report we argue, we cite very reputable research on why that can't really be expected to be the thing. The other thing which was expected in 2012 was that about 50,000 of those homes, half the 100,000, would be additional to the housing stock, and that would mean that New Zealanders had more homes to spread themselves out in, and so that would be beneficial. And in our report we explain why that 50,000 just does not seem plausible. Unless the government action to actually reduce land values and building construction costs across the board works, the KiwiBuild will not add much to the housing stock in the long run.
Does that mean shaking up the RMA?
Yes, that's an important part of it, but it's also local council planning rules and incentives, restrictions on building high-rise, restrictions on the car parks for apartment buildings, all sorts of things.
Right. Do you think the Minister knows this?
Yes, we do. We think that the Minister's got saddled with a flagship policy which he's duty-bound to progress, but the problem is he's going to be endlessly embarrassed by it. If it's unsubsidised, the risk is that the state will build houses in the wrong locations of a type which people don't really want to buy, and there'll be unsold homes. When they go and sell them at market value, the taxpayer will have made a loss. On the other hand, if it's subsidised, the subsidies are very hard to justify because they're going to people who are already at the top end of the first home buyer spectrum.
Bryce, should KiwiBuild be axed?
It should be. Programs which aren't giving value for money for taxpayers should be axed, but it's not realistic, I don't think, to expect the government to do that. It's too committed to it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. That's Dr. Bryce Wilkinson from the New Zealand Initiative.
Thank you very much.